another live stream with me, the Bearded Mystic. I hope you're all doing well. So, today we will be again reacting to a video. We will be taking a look at it, giving a few of my opinions, and then we will be in the chat you can give me your opinion, your thoughts, what you think about it, and anything that you feel is relatable to this. Now I am reacting to a new non-dual personality on the screen, I would say. So I'm kind of reluctant, but I want to just address, maybe in this conversation that we'll see between Ken and Emerson, the issues that occur within the pseudo non-dual circles and what can happen when you can avoid your issues and what will be the end result of that. So we will be looking at this video in a few seconds, but welcome, and we'll get started in a second. If you're new to this channel, please do subscribe to it. I do these live streams on the regular, so sometimes I do reactions to the pseudo non-dualists or the neo-advaitors or the uncompromising non-duality, or I actually look at the traditional Advaita Vedanta teachers and we learn together when we look at those videos. I did one recently on Swami Sarvapriyananda, which was really cool. I really enjoyed that one. And then the other one that the other thing that I do is we take a look at the scriptures. So before we looked at Tattva board and Atma board, and you can find that in the YouTube channels in the playlists under foundation text. And now we're looking at Aparokshana Buddhi, and we'll be continuing on with that. Maybe sometime this week I will be doing another session on that. So those are live sessions when we learn together, and it's rather unedited because I just speak on the fly. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this video, and I'm going to get that set up while we just take a look at this uncompromising message. So a bit of background before I do this. This Ken guy that I'm looking at, I believe he's American. He's probably from Florida, I think, and but he's from the States. He's relatively young, I think. He has, I think, attended a few of Emerson's sessions, or I know what Emerson does, the cult of this non-duality that Emerson does. So what Ken seems to be part of that, and this is a bit of a story of how Ken becomes a teacher. Now, my question is whether Ken is actually ready for this, and that's my main question. But I'm going to let the video speak for itself, and before I do begin, I just want to say that at the end of the day, I do not have any hatred or dislike for such people. Um, I don't care about the people. I just care about the philosophy that they teach or the teachings that they spout out. That is what I will have an issue with. I don't have an issue with the people personally. I have even reached out to both Ken and Emerson to have a chat on my podcast. So it's not like I closed the door on them. And no, I have reached out to them. I have asked if they would like to be on my podcast and maybe, just have a conversation. The thing is, Adi Shankaraji was also known to have conversations with people he disagreed with. And I think it's really important that we do that. That way, you stop yourself from being in an echo chamber. So, and I do that regularly when I know that I'm going to have conflict with people. I recently did that on my conversations with the Bearded Mystic. I spoke to someone who I knew would have a particular worldview that I disagreed with. And the conversation kind of flowed and we touched that topic. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't get along with the person. You can. Like, I'm sure Emerson as a person is nice. I'm sure Ken, who we'll be seeing in a minute, is also nice. They may be wonderful human beings. I'm not doubting that. All I'm doubting and questioning is what they say as a teaching. So that's all. So I wanted to make sure that's clear. Um, but if you're here, welcome. Thank you for coming onto this live stream, and let's look at this together. Yeah. Do let me know. You're more than welcome to write your thoughts down. Um, Challenge me as well. You don't have to agree with everything I say. You can challenge what I say. um, this is an open forum where we discuss things and uh, we kind of explore these videos together. Um, so yes, so I'm looking forward to this. So let me share Chrome tab. Okay, here we go. So let me get this to a full screen, and and here we go. We're going to do like that. Okay, so this is Ken. And you should be able to hear the audio. If you don't hear the audio, let me know in the chat and we shall begin.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, Emerson's a little excited there, isn't he? Oh, wow. That's what I kind of like about Emerson. His energy is quite infectious. The way he just gets so excited, like a little bunny rabbit. So nice. Look at him with his. He keeps changing his glasses. I'm sure I saw one the other day and they were red. Okay. He's got a good collection of glasses or specs, I don't know what they call them, but specs, whatever. Okay. So there's Emerson, well excited to chat to Ken.
So, yeah, just I thought it'd be fun to chat. So,
Yes, totally. So how has it been apparently after the apparent non-happening that never happened to anyone?
Yeah. Well, it's such a I've just been constantly surprised pretty much because it's just the same, or like,
yeah,
and especially this is for sure a story, but
see, this is where, like, hey Conrad, so this is interesting. One, like, he has to now tell his story, and yeah, how difficult that is to say to a pseudo non-dualist. But I like the fact that Ken in this has to give his story. But yeah, but let's rewind it back a bit.
this is for sure a story, but I just was going through a breakup, and there's there's just messiness and like averageness to my life.
Okay, interesting. So one thing I want to notice is it only when someone goes through a breakup or through a difficult situation that they will go to any message that will take them out of their problems. So, for example, if I go through a breakup, if I go towards the pseudo non-duality that tells me that, there's no story, there's no breakup, there's no heartbreak, there's no heart, there's no emotion, it's all a story, it's all an apparent happening, is that going to get rid of my problem? Is that going to get rid of my issues? This is a question to think about. In my opinion, not. And I'm kind of sad that Ken went to Emerson or any pseudo non dualist during this time. But I see the appeal of the message of pseudo-non-duality in regards to his issue. For example, if he went through the method that I would probably go through, which is to self-inquiry into, well, who is it that is suffering? What is it that's suffering? So we address the body, mind, and also on top of that, I might even recommend therapy. Mine is going to take a longer time in the initial point, but with the likes of Emerson and any other of those pseudo non-dualist, they can get rid of you that notion of I'm in this mess, as he mentions, in this messy situation. They're able to transcend it really quickly. So interesting. So it, it worked for him, a rare exception. I don't know if it has worked for him. He's relatively new. With anyone that's new, I would give them 2 or 3 years to see if they will continue. With Ken, there is a genuineness. I've seen parts of this video before. I've not seen all of it, but I have watched his other videos, and it's the reason why I did reach out to him for a conversation as well, because I felt that there is a genuineness to him. But again, what I'm saying is that the pseudo non-dualists do offer at the beginning a good product, or a more appealing product, shall I say? Not a good product, but a more appealing product. It may be nice in the short term, but whether it will be good in the long term is open to kind of whatever happens in the future. But obviously for them, there is no future, meaning they don't believe in the future. Not that they don't have a future. They do have a future, but they believe they don't have a future because it's apparently happening in time. Yeah, okay, that was pseudo non-duality. It really gets to me. It's so hard to talk about. Why? They offer a good product for spiritual bypassing. Yes, one is a spiritual bypassing, but even like, and you're right, Jim Arthur D, that it is spiritual bypassing along with bypassing mental health, because you're not going to deal with your mental health issues because there's no mental health issues according to them. It's all a story. So when you see it from Conrad, when you see it from this angle, you realize that actually they're not doing anything and it's not worked for them, because somewhere, somehow, it's like, for example, you may repress something, but it will come out eventually. Okay, thank you, Dimitri. I was like really about not using your real name. Sorry. Thank you for giving me permission. Hopefully I'll remember. But yeah, but let's continue. But yeah, I mean, I do wish Ken all the best, so regardless of how I may react to what he says in this, but I do wish him the best.
That was just not expected.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just still life. It's still messy, and it's I don't know. Yeah, it's so that's been the surprise for me, because this was really imagined to be like a separate, cool state where things suddenly go better, and it's just the same in a way. So
yeah, it's the sameness, right? It's the sameness. It's like I was talking to someone earlier, and we were talking about this as more of not really a deepening, but more of a clearing. So when you're like waking up in the morning, you're like, oh, it's always been this way. Although no one's waking up, you know what I'm saying, but it's still the same. It's not like you're in a different dimension and flying with unicorns or something, right? Or have special power or something, or it's just the it's chop wood, carry water, basically. And
Isn't it interesting how they just utilize a Zen koan for their message? Chopping wood, carrying water is not pseudo non-duality and has nothing to do with pseudo non-duality. So, Emerson, you're out of touch in terms of your response there. Also, what Ken was saying was, in my opinion, that when I read between the lines, is actually nothing has been resolved. The story of his breakup and the feelings and emotions are still there. And the reason is that if he actually did deal with it with real non-duality, with traditional non-duality, there would be an awareness that would be watching the emotion and analyzing the emotion and where the emotion is originating from and whether that emotion is permanent. So there's a full-on dissection going on, a full-on inquiry, investigation. So there is going to be a kind of a separate self in the traditional Advaita Vedanta in the beginning. Then we embed the oneness after. But right now, it's he's not actually dealt with his issues. This is a very telling video straight away. And this is why I picked it, because it's someone new and someone who I can show you in real time where the message can be appealing but detrimental at the same time. So that's what I really wanted to show. But let's see what wise words are coming from Chop Wood Carry Water guy.
Yeah, it's just the ordinariness of things, and also the extraordinary in the ordinariness of things.
Yeah, it's more relaxed too, in a way. Like, it's just not this like desperate thinking there's somewhere else to be, somewhere else to get. So
Yeah, well, there is somewhere for you to get. And this is the thing, when you're going through a breakup, I don't know how bad his breakup was, I don't know his life story, but if you've gone through a tough time, you do need to address it. There is somewhere for you to get to. This, no matter what, traditional Advaita will tell you, well, you have to get over your suffering. Let's look at suffering and let's see why it's not permanent. Let's see why it's mithya, that it's both real and not real. That's the traditional way. It doesn't tell you to escape. And this is a classic case of escaping, in my opinion. Just the words that he's using is a classic case of escaping. Whether he has escaped it, I don't know. That's not for me to judge, but the words would suggest an escape from what actually is happening within the mind, because there's no story in the mind, so he doesn't have to think about it.
it's more relaxed too, in a way. Like, it's just not this like desperate thinking there's somewhere else to be, somewhere else to get. So
Yeah, I remember when the first couple of one-on-ones, you just had this heaviness. That was what was apparently different. There was this heaviness of the first one was this excitement, and then when this character just burst the bubble that this is just ordinary. So all of that expectation was kind of like met with the wall, and then the second time it was kind of like, why am I even doing this? It was just almost kind of like a kid that was told that there's no Santa Claus.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I had to be the bearer, and there's no one here, but this had to be the bearer of bad news. There's no Santa Claus, sorry. And you're like, what?
Yeah. And it's
as much as Santa Claus isn't real, but for example, when you tell a kid and they're 4 years old that there's no Santa, that will break their world. Now, yes, maybe when we get older, if we get told that Santa's not real, we probably won't feel pain or suffering due to it. But when it comes to matters of the world, our relationships, it's not the same as saying Santa's not real. Like, it's totally different. You're grieve when you lose someone, when you have a breakup. It's like you're grieving. You go through this 5 stages of grief. So again, this is why pseudo-non-duality doesn't deal with actual problems. It's only putting a band-aid. And like I mentioned, the fact that he has to use a Santa Claus analogy, I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, it doesn't match, in my opinion.
It's a relief. Oh, my cat is.
Oh, hello, cat.
Yeah, so
Emerson, you shouldn't be laughing. You should say, there's just a cat happening. You should not be feeling, or look at you, you're getting all enamored by what's happening. It's an apparent story. Why are you getting so happy with looking at a cat? I'm just poking fun. It's kind of cute that a cat appeared. The cat's trying to say, well, this is nonsense. That's why I'm entering the screen here.
it's
Vedanta and Upanishads use analogies of illusion all the time, though. Yes, they do use the famous one being the rope and the snake. But again, what is said is that when, for example, the rope and the snake, let me use that example. In the twilight, when you think that it's a snake, that's real for you at the time, even though you superimposed the snake on the rope. Because when it becomes daylight again, you see it was a rope and not a snake. But that doesn't mean that at the time when you thought it was a snake, it wasn't real for you. You had that fear, you didn't go near it. So that's why, this is why in Vedanta and the Upanishads, when it uses things like this, there is a structure to why it's utilized. And you can match this with your day-to-day life. It doesn't take day-to-day life out of it. And that's where our biggest so yes, it seems real. So it seems real, and it is real at the time for the person. You know, for example, they would just not go near it. They will not walk closer. Likewise with someone that's going through a relationship issue, on the grand scheme, yes, you know, the Atma has not gone through any breakup. The awareness has not gone through any breakup, but the pain was still there in the mind, because the mind has superimposed that. The mind has put that onto the blank screen. So for example, so for that person, it's true for them and it's real until they deal with the fact that it's actually just an image. But you have to go through that process. It's not necessarily that you can just, like, for example, if they come out with this message that he's talking about straight away on his first talk, that's dangerous. It's not actually helping. All that's doing is actually hypnotizing him to think that nothing happened. So when that's not the case, something has happened and he has to deal with it. If Vedanta looked for the shortcut, like Neo Advaita, then it wouldn't have lasted so long. The reason why it's lasted so long is because it actually deals with our problems straight up. But I'm really glad that you're raising this, Conrad, because if we don't raise it, we don't get to know more, we don't get to learn together. So thank you. Thank you for your questions and thank you for your comments, because it does help in engaging with this more introspectively. Yes, Dimitri, it is an apparent cat apparently purring. It's not there really. It's it doesn't exist. It's part of the story. There's no story there.
oh my gosh,
Don't move
it's a
the cat.
relief and it's devastating. You know, at the time it's like I'm mad at you. It's like
you were mad at me, I can tell.
yeah. But then once that is seen, it's a frustration. It's hard to see that, but then it's, just a relaxation. It's like Santa was never real, so I'd rather know that Santa's not real than to keep on going with it. Yeah. And it's
I hope it's helped him. I really do, but I kind of feel that it hasn't. That's my feeling. It hasn't really.
And then it's like just obvious. It's not like you need to remember that Santa's not real, or like,
no, it's just the
obvious. Yeah,
it's just the obvious.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, what, all this.
Okay, when they use this famous "it is what is." No. Okay, if that's really the case, the first layer of what is your issues and problems, your suffering or your joys or your happiness, your successes, your failures. All that is the first layer. Then behind that is the awareness of what is. Yeah. Or the isness itself. So there's two layers, the relative and then the permanent. So it's this is not really what is. So they're even misusing that. I know that Papaji Punjaji mentioned that which is, I think, but that's not what Punjaji meant when he said that. Thought terminating cliche. Absolutely.
Time, I believe that, every Christmas that I was, getting a present from Santa, and then you told me that there's no Santa, and you're too old for Christmas.
What's that?
You're too old for Christmas now.
Yeah,
So you still keep on believing for Santa, right?
Exactly.
It's almost like it's like an instant growing up for no one. We're just gonna like, okay, I guess the fantasy is over. That illusion is gone. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's no like desire to, I'm not gonna go around telling kids, hey guys, Santa's not real. Like, there's no
there's no point to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like,
okay, if there's no point to it, why do they have YouTube channels? That's one thing I've not understood, is they talk about this. Like, okay, if you're not going to go around, and I would agree with Ken, you wouldn't go around to people and say, young kids, and say Santa's not real. I've done that by accident sometimes. But that's besides the point. But like, if that's the case and you don't need to tell people, then there's no point doing any of these things, because people should come to the automatic realization of what they talk about. But that's not the case. It's only when people hear such messages that they get drawn in because they want a quick fix to their problems. So yeah, there's a contradiction in practice here. One, they claim that they are that you shouldn't go around to kids saying the Santa's not real. But at the same time, they're posting a YouTube video every day saying the same nonsense every day, nothing different, and yet they say things like this. I hope if Ken does watch this reaction video that he understands where I'm coming from. When I see beyond their little comments that they make. I see behind the charade and the facade that they're showing me, uh, or showing us as viewers. But yeah, let's see what other wisdom our friend will give.
Santa's not real. Like, there's no
point to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, that's innocence, believing in Santa, and what's the harm in that?
Yeah.
There's no problem there. So
exactly, there's no problem with people thinking Santa's real. Therefore, you don't need to do any of your non-duality so-called philosophy lectures. Like, there's no need for them. If that which is, or what is, always is, just being that, you don't need to do any of this. The whole reason why you're doing all this on YouTube is to get someone to believe in you. No matter what you say or claim, that's the point. So, yeah, I'm sorry. That line doesn't work with me. It doesn't gel well with me. I may be wrong for that, but yeah, nah.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's kind of like when there's this seeing that there's nothing. It's not going to go to the mountaintop and say,
When there is that seeing, there is nothing. Emerson, what are you on about? What does that even mean? When there is seeing, there is nothing. Okay, so I'm reading a book right now, and it's about it's Belief and Beyond. It's by Mukunda Rao. A very good book because it's about the non-dual teachers in from India, and from India mainly. And what's interesting is that although on the radical level they have said the same thing as the pseudo-non-dualists, there is a process. You see the evolution. So if you look at Gabiji, there's an evolution. When you read Anand Maimar, there's an evolution. Ramana Maharishi, there's an evolution. So yeah, when they say stuff like, "Oh yeah, there's nobody thinking anything here because there is nobody but this Brahman or this awareness," before they've even said that to you, they've ensured that you've got the basics. So when they turn around and say there's no scripture, there's no Brahman even, there's no awareness even, it's beyond all this, what they're trying to do is to get you beyond the wordless state, the thoughtless state. But they would only give this message really when you reach the peak of spirituality. When they understand that you're now ready to have the carpet pulled from under your feet, and not only that, you will not lose balance, you will maintain your balance. It takes a long time to get there, and they all worked for it. So when someone listens to someone like UG Krishnamurti, most people don't, and behind his words he did believe in chakras, and that he himself had that type of the chakras opening up. But at the end of it, he says, "Well, there's nobody here and that experienced anything. The person that experienced whatever it was has now died." But to understand that, you have to be with the person to see the journey, and they will explain the journey. But yeah, with people like this, when they say such abstract comments without the real juice of experience to explain to you how it happened, it doesn't stick. So I hope everyone's following what I'm saying. And I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but basically, you can see their experience speak before they say things that are uncompromising as a message, which may be extreme non-duality, radical non-duality. They've gone through this process. So thank you, Conrad. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So when people like Emerson say stuff like that, it's not sticking because there's no experience to show this. So yeah. But yeah, let's see. Maybe Emerson will redeem himself.
Yeah.
there's nothing, because there's no one to relay it to. But
Yeah.
there's somewhat this thank you. I love your videos. It's beautiful now. Saying it's gonna, like, it's just coming out really naturally now.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was watching them on.
This is what I mean. He's actually creating a whole community of them, which makes, I hope there's more people that would do reaction videos to this, because who are on my side of the fence, so to speak, because they're coming up with their stuff day by day and it's getting really crowded. I mean, even Occult Theo spoke about this and I was kind of shocked. I don't know whether he's completely changed. I'm still not sure, but I mean, he's right. People, Emerson should not be, shouldn't be telling him to create videos straight away. I mean, he's relatively new. I think he's not. It's not like, I think he just attended a few meetings. It's pretty dangerous there.
On the way back here.
Oh,
And I was just like,
nice.
okay, that's actually really, it's again, it's the clearing, right? It's almost like everything's clearing up. It's kind of like you woke up from a dream, although there's no one, that there was a Santa. And
Why? Why? Why does he say such nonsense, such drivel? It's so bad. It makes no sense. I mean, and the thing is, the way they explain things, you have to use more of your mind because you have to keep catching yourself speaking from a dualistic point of view. And it's actually much harder and much more difficult. It's not actually easy and simple as they make it out to be. So each time they have to give like a warning to what they say. It's Zen Cohen's making um so what did Occult Theo say? Says Theo just mentioned about, he kind of mentioned how there's YouTube, so many people on YouTube just speaking about this non-dual message that I don't know whether he's feeling threatened by the competition, but he didn't feel like that. He talked about devotion to the non-dual Lord, and I found that was a bit weird for him to talk about. So yeah, he really didn't say much other than he was kind of annoyed at the amount of YouTubers who are speaking about non-duality. Thank you, Susan. Trying to cause a sudden awakening. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it cause a sudden awakening, but it's not enlightenment. And that's the other thing. The people like Yuji Krishnamurti or Papaji or Ramana Maharishi or Anandamayi Ma or any of the, Avadutas, those type of radical people, sages, they didn't have awakenings, or they had awakenings, but they told you it was an awakening rather than enlightenment. With this type of non-duality that they talk about, there is only either, well, there's either ignorance or enlightenment. They don't, and they would just say there's the apparent ignorance. But yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, like, for them, they just go straight to enlightenment. When that's not the case, you can't do that and then start teaching. I'll just give you my example. It's taken me 11, 12 years to feel comfortable speaking about these matters. And even then, I always give the caveat to you that I don't have the answers. These people claim to have the answers. That's the other scary thing. Because I see this from a long term. If I tell people that I'm still learning, then they know where I'm at. It's clear. There's actual full transparency. But if you claim to someone that you know everything, that that if you, like Emerson, you say that everything is a story and it's apparently happening, and then a few years later you then debunk your own message. How many people did you fool? How many people did you convince of your message? There's a very good video, movie. It's a documentary slash like mockumentary type of thing, a bit like it's called Kumare. It's a very good movie that shows a guy from America. His name's Vikram something. I forgot his second name, but he's actually a filmmaker, and he decided to become a fake guru. And what's interesting is it's actually an interesting movie. I would watch the movie yourselves actually, Kumare, and it's such a good movie because it shows what happens when you that even when there's a bit at the end where he tells people the reality of his situation. He tells them that he's not a guru, he's a filmmaker, and he tells them, but there are some people that will not believe him regardless of what he said. They'll say, no, he's still our guru, he's still Gumare. And he's like, I'm not Gumare, I'm Vikram. And now when Emerson in a few years' time, if he decides to drop this philosophy, he's going to be causing a big upset. And the amount of people then that will lose faith in spirituality because of him, or Advaita Vedanta, or genuine non-duality, is even more so. So these people don't see it, but I see it from the long term. But yeah, let's continue on.
There's this kind of like,
Oh,
it's just this fantasy, this illusion that there was something that was happening previously that kept you in this bubble of I love the cat. This bubble of perception that this is real, that I am real, and all that kind of stuff. So there's this clarity that I see. So good on you.
Yeah. Well, and it's still there's still these moments of like it just feels real again for like just a second.
Did you hear that? See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. That's key. You will always have, like Ken, you're always gonna get those moments and flashes of understanding that this whole world is real, and it is real on the transactional level. Anybody that has been following my content, who's been listening to my podcast, listening to these live streams, that we consider that this world, even though on the ultimate level is unreal, but while we're in it, it is real, and we have to deal with it. We have to enjoy it. We have to embrace it. Whatever, we have to embrace the pain and the pleasure alike. We don't have a choice. Now, we don't fool ourselves with this philosophy like Ken's talking about, when you would get flashes of the real. And you see the difference in our terminology. What we term as real is that which is changeless. What they consider to be real is the apparent story. So there's a clear manipulation of terminology as well, which isn't good. But yeah, anyway, let's continue on, Ken. Let's give you some time.
That I see. So good on you.
Yeah. Well, and it's still there's still these moments of like it just feels real again for like just a second. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not like a fight anymore. It's like, I don't know. I do sense that it's just becoming more obvious. It's not special. Oh, and I think in the very beginning too, it was like, in my mind, it was like, do I have it? Is this mine? And then it's like, when you think that it's yours, then it can be not yours. So
Yeah.
for a minute that was like going through my mind, but it's like, this isn't had, it's not had, it's
No.
none of that.
You,
So
you never got it in the first place, so why would you have it?
right.
You never got it in the first place. You are it in the first place. That's the traditional divide of you. You already have it in the first place. You just believe you don't have it. And then when you know you have it, then there is no such thing as having it and not having it. But again, there's a process to get there. Like, it's so annoying that I don't understand that. Conrad, I love what you said, by the way. Brahman embodied through the grossification of its Shakti. Absolutely. This existence is Brahman. On the ultimate level, we can understand that and see that and perceive that. But if you don't have this knowledge, if you don't have that gyan, you cannot see it that way. But you're absolutely right. I really like that.
Yeah.
You never lost it too, so why would you
Exactly.
or find it? It's just the impossibility of this is just what is, right? So it's just and then the initial, I talked to a lot of people on a one-on-one, and usually there's this oscillation. I think I was talking to you about that too. There's this kind of like, I got it, I lost it, I got it, I lost it. And then there's just this, and then it loses its power.
Right.
Then it just becomes, okay, that's just another magical thinking that I got it in the first place, that I would lose it in the second place. How is that even possible when you never had it in the first place? It's just the ordinariness of this is always this way. There's never been a Santa Claus. Well, maybe in storybooks, but that's still a story.
Totally.
Yeah. There's just this lightness, you know what I'm saying? There's this confusing aspect of it in the beginning because it's a disorientation. It's a big disorientation.
No, it's not a disorientation. It's a complete fabrication of a philosophy. And okay, if it is a big disorientation in the beginning, say if I do agree with that on some level, even then, it's a disorientation because it's not based on reality. It's not based on a true philosophy. So, yeah, I agree with you that it's not essentially real. It's a big disorientation.
Well, maybe in storybooks, but that's still a story.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's way off base.
There's just this lightness, you know what I'm saying? There's this confusing aspect of it in the beginning because it's a disorientation.
That's it. A confusing bit in the beginning. It's confusing all the time. You just learn the terminology and keep repeating it, and you just mask the confusion. The confusion is still there. I can see it when they talk. You see hints of it in the tone, that there's still confusion. You can just catch it, even with Emerson. But the thing is, they don't want to admit that because then their business is gone. Remember, it's all about the dollar. And they're minting it. I do like what you said, Susan, by the way, way off base. It really is way off base. This is in like next level stuff. I don't know what dimension this is in.
Big disorientation. It's kind of like you got the rug got pulled under your feet. You're flat on your back.
Oi, he stole my analogy. Emerson, that's not cool. I didn't know he was going to say this, by the way. Hey, you totally misused what I said.
And you're looking into nothingness, and then there's this, oh wow, and then there's like this disappointment. Oh, this is it.
No. You see, When I look at formless awareness, I don't get disappointed. No. Oh my God. No, 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 no. My friends who are following this type of foolery, let me tell you that when you get in contact with true nothingness, which is formless awareness, you're not disappointed. It's called Satchitananda. You feel bliss at the end of it. You feel joy. You feel complete. You feel whole. You feel completion. If anyone has felt disappointment from it, it means you're still in the ego because you wanted it to be something other than what it is. Bliss, mate. Yeah, no, it really is. He should be feeling bliss. The fact that people are telling you, or you felt it was disappointment, Emerson. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. Emerson, what happened? I mean, I do like your smile, though. Oh, no, I should.
This is a bit disappointing.
Nah, I ain't disappointing.
There was no one that lifted off your feet and got, Buddha didn't all of a sudden show up out of nowhere and handed you a certificate. Jesus Christ was not holding your hands when you were, doing the rapture ascending into heaven.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's just a billion of those stories,
Yeah.
I don't even know how it was.
Yeah, I haven't felt that either. Like, no Jesus has come to me, no Krishna's come to me, no Lord Shiva's come to me, no Buddha's come to me, but I wasn't disappointed. And also, if somebody did have that experience, I wouldn't call it just a story. Like, it may be, it actually could be real. And, the only way you know it's real if it remains forever, if it has an everlasting effect, an evolutionary effect at the very least. So, yeah, don't I just want to say, if you've had experiences of Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or Shiva, don't see it as a good sign rather than a bad sign. Remember, these are images for sure, but at the end of the day, it could be a good sign. It's a step in the right direction. So yeah, I want to make that clear.
It's like there's just so many fantastical ideas about it.
No.
So yeah, any of those that are
the reason why there's fantastical ideas, as you claim, is because there's many philosophies that have come to the same conclusion. They've just worded the conclusion in a different way, but they're not fantastical ideas. Ken, they are based on solid philosophy. If you actually study the philosophy, you would realize that it's not fantastical ideas, especially those from the East. I mean, there's a whole, like, even with Tantra, there's a whole practice that gets you there. Oh my God. What's fantastical is this belief that there's no story and there's no Santa. And just thinking, at the end of the day, when you were 4 years old, Santa was real. When you turn 5, let's say, for example, you turn 5, you realize there's no Santa and that it was your dad or your mom or your older sibling that ate the cookie and drank the sherry or the milk that you left out. Now, the only thing that happens that changes is that you realize that when you were 4, you thought Santa was real and it was real for you at the time, but now you understand that it was no longer real. That's all. Likewise, when you understand something on a deeper spiritual level, you realize that the life you were living before was real for you, but it was done in ignorance. Now you are aware of awareness. You're aware of this Nirgun Brahman. You're aware of what you really are. Therefore, the life, you're still going to live the same life, but now there's no ignorance about what life is. But life is still being lived. You don't discount the life you're living. So yeah. Yeah, poor Ken.
Believed in. It's a little bit of a letdown in that sense, but it's also like, yeah, it's, and then it's the relief too of like, yeah, it was just a story. It was just
Yeah.
It's a story, yeah.
an idea.
An idea.
It's kind of like, this is really funny. When you came in, you were this really eager little kid that was ready for this big revelation or this kind of like big reveal.
Is it me, or is it like condescending that Emerson's calling him a kid? I don't know. Like, because obviously Ken is rather young, like Theo, and Ariana, and well, even Anna is kind of like they're all pretty young. But to call him like a kid, well, Emerson's young as well, but I find that a bit condescending. Yeah, you can feel the pain in him. Yeah, that's what I mean. He hasn't transcended. He hasn't transcended. Um, he's still dealing with it at the time he did this video, but obviously he's been creating non-dual videos before this chat with Emerson. This is what I'm talking about. Someone who's teaching prematurely. I'm a bit scared for Ken. Because what will happen is, even if he stops believing in this, he will have to keep the charade of the message, unless he's really daring enough to just clean the slate. But yeah, I do feel the pain in what he's saying as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, this is really funny. When you came in, you were this really
Believed in. It's a little bit of a letdown in that sense, but it's also like, yeah, it's, and then it's the relief too of like, yeah, it was just a story. It was just,
yeah.
I just want you to look at the eyes. I feel there's more sadness in the eyes than there is happiness and joy from the non-dual experience. If you really had a non-dual experience, those that attended my meditation class on Saturday, if you're watching this, you'll understand what I mean. We didn't feel sadness, there was joy felt. It was one of the best meditation sessions we've ever done. And I mean, I think I found my technique that I'll be continuously doing with slight variations here and there. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight, Conrad, what you were saying when you're saying you can feel the pain in him. I can see the pain in him, which is why I don't believe what he's saying. But let's see what Emerson has to say.
an idea.
It's kind of like, this is really funny. When you came in, you were this really eager little kid that was ready for this big revelation or this kind of like big reveal. Okay, Emerson, and I'm ready.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
well, sorry, you know what I'm saying? There's just nothing that I can give you because there's no one to give it to. So this
I don't know. I don't know why I find that really funny. The fact that, okay. What it sounds like is a real bad, intimate experience with someone. You know, when you don't reach the peak of lovemaking, or it ends so quickly before it's even started. That's what it sounds like. What Emerson is explaining. And that's not non-duality in its experience. It's an everlasting ecstasy. And my man is talking about it as a bad intimate experience. It's, yeah. Neo-Advaita or pseudo-non-duality is like a premature ejaculation. Sorry for that kind of analogy, but that's what it sounds like. Oh gosh.
You know what I'm saying? There's just nothing that I can give you because there's no one to give it to. So this communication is just this radical honesty that there's
Yeah.
nothing I can
There's this radical honesty.
give you because
There's nothing that I can give you. So why do you do these sessions then? Like, obviously you feel you can give something, otherwise you wouldn't do it. This is where I call out the blatant lie. You don't believe in what you're saying. You're a complete fraud when you say stuff like that. You're doing these sessions, you're probably charging people, you know, and then you're saying that there's nobody that's going to get the message and there's nobody giving the message. Well, why are you doing this? It really makes no sense.
there's no one to give it to.
Yeah.
It's already complete. There's nothing that can be done because there's no doer and there's nothing that cannot undo. It's just this, you know.
Go on. Oh
What
gosh.
the?
Yeah, what there is exactly what I'm trying to think when Emerson does that little dance move. I want you to see the little dance again. That he does.
You know.
Oh gosh.
What the?
That's called the non-duality dance move. It seems like. I mean, why do I am also the same. What the bleep is this?
It's the what the fuck, right?
Totally.
Oh gosh.
Totally.
Yeah. In the midst of that, did you have
That's the radical honesty. I also think that what the F is that? I also feel the same way.
in your, you know, and I had this too when I was seeking, right? When I was seeking that, I think you had a bit of a.
Let me look at your thing, Conrad, before I want him to continue, Emerson. He's trapped in the web. It's terrifying in a way. Totally agree. I feel the same way as well. And this is about Ken. Even to an extent, Emerson as well. The web of the language game of pseudo-non-duality. It is, honestly, the web, as much as it's entertainment for me, it's also because I don't like the fact that someone is being fooled under the name non-duality. It's so annoying. Here we go. He's going to talk about seeking now.
How do you call that? Disbelief or thinking that, is this a scam? You know what I'm saying?
No, it is a scam.
Is this a bit of when I was listening to the speakers and I thought that there is this deception happening here or something.
Oh yeah.
And that did you feel that too? Like
at a certain point, yeah. It's like too easy or something. Especially when I first heard this, it's like, no, there's no way I'm already there. Like, of course there has to be something to do. Yeah. There's something, it's so disorienting that it is like, how could that be the case? There has to be some, I don't know.
I was just telling you earlier before we recorded that I do these 5 days, and then usually at the end people are so disoriented, because especially people that are in the spiritual realm, right, or spiritual studies and in that path, when you tell them that there's no path, that this is not really spirituality, first they feel duped. They're like, why did I come here for then? Why am I listening to you? I'm waiting for this big reveal or this big kind of like, enlightenment.
Okay, number one thing, if you're doing this 5-day thing, you are gearing people up for this mass reveal or big reveal, sorry. So don't blame people for this. You're doing a 5-day session with the crap that you're coming out with. You don't need to do a 5-day retreat or session with. You can just do it in 10 minutes, literally, maybe even less. You don't say anything unique. And also, if you're a fool who has gone through the 5 days of this, you've just spent, not only forget the money you spent, you wasted your time listening to the same crap again and again. And if you feel duped, good on you, because you should feel duped. That is a classic case of fraud, in my opinion, under the name of non-duality. Like, these people don't need to be doing 5-day sessions about the stuff that they talk about. I mean, there's nothing you're going to get from these 5-day sessions that you're not going to get from watching one video of theirs. There's nothing new. All that's happening is when you keep listening to this type of messaging again and again and again and again without using your discernment, without thinking about it, and without looking at what's being said and whether it holds any place in the traditional sense of Advaita Vedanta or even in non-dual Buddhism, you will not believe this stuff. So you don't need these 5-day sessions for that. Within the first hour, you should know that this is all nonsense. If you really are strong in your discernment and you really have been in spiritual study and in the spiritual circles. In my opinion, if you've just been under the whole thing of law of attraction or something like that, under the guise of spirituality, then in my opinion, this type of stuff is what that Emerson talks about, and Tony Parsons and Jim Newman and the likes. They don't need. Then they're more appealing to you. And that's what he considers spirituality. There's no one, I believe, who's truly studied, truly Advaita Vedanta would follow any of this, in my opinion. If they have, that means they weren't really seriously studying. That's my opinion. If anyone feels that they did and they then went to this so-called pseudo-non-duality or whatever they call themselves, then prove me wrong and prove to me why Advaita Vedanta wasn't appealing. But that's my opinion. They probably got people that were like who thought yoga was just stretching, or they did a bit of transcendental meditation, or they did that Kundalini yoga under 3HO, and suddenly they think that they're spiritual. No, they're not. They're just doing things because they want to feel good. They're not. In my opinion, true spirituality is when you're actually wanting to understand who you are. So I know who he's on about when he talks about spiritual circles.
To happen, you know what I'm saying? So they're waiting for this big awakening. And then when it's being said that, well, there's no one that awakens really, it's a big letdown.
Totally.
It's a big letdown. But somehow the resonance is that you're not being lied to anymore.
Yeah. Right. Because there is, I can remember now that there is or at least
it's not really a letdown. It's only a letdown because you haven't got anything of substance to give. It's all style, no substance. That's pseudo non-duality. In true non-duality, the Advaita Vedanta non-duality or Buddhism non-duality, there is a process. And it's not a letdown. you feel alive due to it. That's my experience. I can only go by what I've experienced, and I've gone through the traditional route and I feel complete from it. I don't feel let down. I feel content with it, comfort with it. I don't feel let down. So I don't know what they're going through. Very weird. It makes sense if you've already worked on your vasanas and some skaras and have done the main work. Yes, true. And not everyone has addressed their vasanas or some skaras, Conrad. I love the fact that you mentioned that. Nobody's worked on their tendencies and conditionings enough to go through this. And even then, even if you have, the way they deliver their message will not do justice to even the person who has really worked on their vasanas and their samskaras, who's done the main work. Even then, for them, this is still not good enough. And this is this is a radical statement by me, but I still think there's a process of getting there, you know? And most of it's done in silence. Right, he's getting people who were doing the new age stuff. They haven't been disciples of the real teachers based in the tradition. Exactly. I can't imagine even with the direct path people like Rupert Spira, Francis Lucille, Jean Klein, Greg Good. I don't even think any of them have come to this person. I remember seeing one person. I don't know if she came to Emerson's or she went to Tony Parsons that did attend Rupert Spira's. And there are some that do the crossover, but they seem equally confused. So, yeah. Okay, let's see.
Here, anyways, I don't know if this is the case for every person, but like there was some intuition that you can kind of tell the stories are bullshit, or it's like,
yeah,
even though you want to believe it, there's a little bit of like, I don't know. And then yeah, this message is like, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make logical sense, but it doesn't have that feeling of like bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah. That's see, I bought into the
1. Real non-duality is based on logic. It doesn't ignore logic. So, yeah. But what he's trying to say, which is what I understand, what he's saying is that although this message that they give, although it doesn't sound logical, because it isn't logical, on the process of how they get there, but it's also not a lie because what they are and it's true because what they're teaching is non-duality, but without the roots. And you know what happens to a tree when the roots are either cut off or chopped off? The tree dies. And this is what happens with these pseudo-non-dualists. They get to kind of a slight understanding of the non-dual state. But without the foundational work, what they will find is slowly and slowly their spirituality it starts withering away, and therefore the feeling of completeness and wholeness disappears. So what you're actually left with is a real emptiness and void, not in the positive sense, in the negative sense, psychological sense, not the experiential level. If you experience emptiness and void on the experiential level or existential level, it's different. There's again, you feel whole and complete despite it being a void or emptiness on the existential level. But on the psychological level, the pseudo-non-dualists will eventually feel empty or void, and you will see it in their eyes, you will see it in the way they are. Oh, hi Martin, I haven't seen you in a while. I love how all the ego advaita YouTubers refer to nonsense as a message, or even better, an uncompromising message. Yeah, it's uncompromising for sure, but all they're compromising on is their reputations. That's what is compromised as soon as they say this nonsense. But yeah, let's continue on.
The bullshit, and I was also kind of like dishing out the bullshit,
Yes.
and it was eating me.
Yes, void at a nihilistic level. Totally agree. Let me get back.
Dishing out the bullshit, and it was eating me up towards the end, because here was kind of like there was this intuitiveness that the practices that I was giving, the inner child work, all that kind of stuff was just this fantasy, or this game, or no, not even game. It's a deception. It's a deception. And so when you hear someone,
so everything that we do is deception, but what they do is real. Yeah, we can see who's really doing the deception, Emerson.
when speak, with this clear communication that there's never been anyone here, there's this.
Okay, it's not a clear communication, because whenever you have to talk about it, you have to use the word things like apparently, or this message. You have to go so round the roundabout. It's not clear at all. To talk about the message that they give, they have to they have to think of new words and different words to even talk about it.
Disbelief in the beginning, because you don't want to believe it, that everything invested in, that you've been lying yourself, that you have bought into the bullshit. It's kind of like, it's easier to there was something that I can't remember. It's easier to tell somebody and they believe it than tell them that what they believe is not real. It's easier to like it's this held on to beliefs that are strong in this apparent, seeking or whatever, although there's no seeking. In the story anyway, there's this ingrained kind of like bullshit.
Yeah.
Because the existence is bullshit as well. Your story is bullshit. Everything is, you know what I'm saying? And then this teaching of how to get out of this bullshit is also another bullshit.
I'm glad that Emerson has fully accepted that the things that they teach is bullshit and should not be considered. Thank you, Emerson. You said it yourself. I didn't have to say it. He said it. Thank you, Emerson. Thank you. I think everyone should give a round of applause to Emerson for admitting that this compromising message and clear communication is utter bullshit. He said it, not me. Round of applause, everyone. Round of applause. Oh, do the dance,
So
Emerson.
I think sorry, go ahead.
It just feels like it's invested in too, or like, when you think you've been on a path, then there's the whole history, the whole like getting closer and closer. You're chugging along. Yeah, that's a bit devastating in a way.
Yeah. So that's kind of like when I first met you, it's kind of like you got out of the cult.
Yeah.
Of spirituality,
right.
And
barely,
you were still starry-eyed. You know what I'm saying? And I think we talked a couple of times, and you were just getting disillusioned, and I can sense that you were, and this is just a story as well, that you were frustrated at me because I just kept on giving you the same thing, that hey, listen, it's almost like a wake-up call. It's like a straight up talk. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. There's a thing, and it's just this sober talk. You're kind of like almost like so intoxicated with this idea that you are about to get something.
Yeah.
Because you were basing it from my other one-on-one talks. I think that you're like, okay, I found the guy that can do this. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. Yeah. I did. in the way my spiritual
I'm sorry. I was just mesmerized by just the nonsense that was being spouted. I didn't understand the word he said. It was just like noise to me. That was Emerson. But let's see. I hope Ken's going to give a background of his story, but there was no story because there's no one giving the story. Yeah.
history or whatever played into it was like, okay, to get to non-duality, you need to go through all the spirituality, and then non-duality is at the top. And then Emerson, oh my gosh, will come in and just kill me.
Yeah. You were waiting for me to kill you. I know.
I hate to burst a bubble to you, Ken, and to Emerson. Spirituality is non-duality, and non-duality is spirituality. There's no spirituality, then non-duality.
Like, there's nothing I can do for you, buddy, you know?
Yeah.
And I just kept on repeating that. And you were like, but, you know?
And it's so like, feels so brutal.
Emerson's so weird. I don't know why he's laughing.
You were waiting for me to kill you. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do for you, buddy, you know?
Yeah.
And I just kept on repeating that. And you were like, but, you know?
And it's so like, feels so brutal at the moment, but it's just seen now that it's pure compassion, or it's like, it's just not feeding any bullshit.
Yeah. I should release that first one that we did, because that was really brutal. I don't know if you remember that one.
I
that
don't
was
have
brutal
it anymore. I didn't even keep the video. I wish I did have it. Yeah.
That was brutal, because here you working like, you know, starry-eyed. You're like, Emerson, and then
I made it.
And then I made it. I'm like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Why are they repeating this story then? There's no story. Why the story of no story? That isn't a story. Do you see how confusing this language can become? But it's this is really something else. I mean, I've never heard such. Oh gosh, Emerson. I mean, you're remembering something, yet you say there's no such thing as memory, and you say there's no such thing as a journey, and there shouldn't be no such thing as a meeting, because from your own words, this is all bullshit. But you're remembering the bullshit. I guess your message has been compromised.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what do you mean? You know, it was just this. It was almost like you're begging to get killed or something. I'm like, but there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. Isn't it clear now? It's the most compassionate thing, I think, is communication. Because totally. I could have bullshitted you and say that, well, you know what?
Right.
I
You're
have
almost
this,
there.
you know, you're almost there. You just have to attend 20 of my workshops.
Yeah.
Mate, if I were you, I wouldn't even be doing the workshops, because you're, even by doing one, you're bullshitting people, because you claim that nobody needs to do any of that. So, Emerson, I see beyond your fraudulent ways. I don't know how you fooled people, but I don't know if this is like more evil than the rest of them, you know? I'm really confused. I really want to like Emerson, because, you know, he's like this wonderful, weird person, but there's a part of me that finds him so deceiving. I don't know if I think I remember when I did the last one, I don't know whether he's the worst of the bunch, and I'm close to saying that he probably is. Because with the others, I can kind of say, like, for example, if Ken says anything, he's new to the scene. Same with Theo. Same with anyone else. I can kind of Ariana. I can kind of say, well, they're new to the scene. But with him, I can't say that because I know he's not new on the scene. I have to really think about this. Yeah, look, we have to eventually give up our illusions, but why is Emerson taking credit for a natural happening? Exactly. Yeah, if it's a natural happening, why is he taking credit? But he is loving the fact that he apparently laid the smackdown on Ken. He's loving it. I mean, you can clearly see he's enjoyed shattering Ken's so-called illusion. He loved it. And yeah, workshop. This is what I mean. I thought there is no work that you have to do. So why is there a workshop? This is where I want to give you the middle finger, Emerson, because I find you to be the most deceiving one of them all, even though you're so nice and, you're like a cuddly bear when people look at you. I mean, but you remind me more of the Chucky doll effect, of where it's a nice, cute doll, but really it's gonna kill you, and and in the analogy that I'm using, it's like you're gonna kill people's real spiritual thirst in what you're doing. So yeah, might be a harsh comment, but it's by the things that you're saying, that's what it's coming out to be like. And yeah, it's difficult because I'm trying to not trying to attack the person, but it's really hard because that's one genuine person that could have actually gone on the path of real non-duality and they've been duped. And it's hard to not make that feel like a personal loss, because that there's a whole system that can help someone. So yeah, maybe that's where my my kind of frustration comes from that. But on the Art of Living course, we used to ask people to write down what they expected to get from the course. Then we asked them to cross off everything on their list. It was done so that they would stay present to what was going to be happening on the course and not waiting for some big thing to happen. Exactly. And that's the right way of doing it, in my opinion. It's a system, it's a process of showing someone why they should not be waiting for some big thing to happen. But what they're doing is not that. So I really thank you for sharing that, Dimitri. That's really nice. I really like that. There is no work, but there is a shop. You can buy your favorite pseudo-non-duality t-shirt or glasses that he's wearing, the specs that he's wearing. They should be on too. Let's listen more to Emerson.
I kind of felt sorry, I'm saying, I'm like, oh,
you didn't feel
what I'm
sorry.
saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, damn it, spirituality, right? Because there was this kid that came in and basically looking for guidance, looking to be released, looking for liberation. And I kept saying, well, sorry, I'm saying but it's almost like in the story, you came to the right, you came to the butcher shop. There's no stories left here. This is the butchering of all of the story. It's kind of like, story, there's a story. Yeah. Story, there's a story. Right. Story, there's a story. I'll find it and I'll release it. Okay. I'll send it to you. Yes. Yeah. I'll find it. It's somewhere in one of my hard drives.
Now, Emerson, just release it so we can see how you are the butcher. So I wasn't wrong when I called him the Chucky doll. If anyone's wanting context, Child's Play, I'm on about that. The movie. But he said he's butchering, so.
But it was just so so devastating to see that, right? Because there's this almost like really.
Why is it devastating? There's nothing happening. There's no story. So why is it devastating? Honestly, if you use their logic back at them, it makes no sense what they're saying. This is what I mean. It's so weird.
Bursting the bubble. You know what I'm saying, of this excitement that you had, and at the end of it, you were left defeated. You're like,
Yeah, totally. And I think
It's okay, Ken. You can cry. I mean, it's all right, man.
it was perfect too. Or I mean, who knows? But just the fact that
Yeah,
we
who
have very
knows?
similar backgrounds, and
Yes.
like with your sharing, like I also perceived I was like holier, vibration, all of the same types of stories.
Yeah, that was the compassion coming out, because I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me tell
Yeah,
a story.
yeah,
Let me tell a story, because you know what? This is really harsh for this character. In this story as well, it felt really higher than thou. This vibration, it wanted to have.
So they were into not real spirituality then. They weren't really going through Advaita Vedanta or even Kashmiri Shaivism. They were going through the vibration crystals, that type of spirituality. So we can kind of establish they weren't really going for the real stuff that we hear. So thank you for confirming that for us. He's been dominated mentally by Emerson. You can sense the hatred in his eyes. Whose eyes are you talking about? But yes, I do feel that Emerson is kind of showing his superiority in this conversation. But yeah,
This unworthiness and all this kind of stuff. But that's just saying that, hey, listen, buddy, you know what I'm saying?
oh, yeah,
I know this sucks, but
yeah,
it really sucks.
yeah. That's it.
Yeah. It was still not hopeful, even though I said those
Right.
stories. It was just kind of like, okay, yeah.
Nothing can be offered. It's so wild. It's so funny. Yeah. It's
Totally.
It's almost like this is just a story, but I almost wish I could give it.
You know when they have to think of the same stuff to keep repeating? Have you noticed how they pause and then Emerson just starts laughing for no reason? It's just an observation. Every time there's like a silence for a few seconds, you just see him laugh. So weird. Emerson, you're weird, man.
Advice, or like, it's just totally not. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's when I started first doing this one-on-ones, I was like, I don't know what the point of this is really, right?
Yeah,
because there's nothing.
Oh, shoot. Okay. It just dawned upon me that he's doing one-on-one sessions with people. So they're paying him, I'm assuming. It's not for free. Wow. Okay. This kind of changes a bit for me. It's a one-on-one session. Again, if there's no story, there's no one here to give a message, and there's no person to receive the message, why are you doing the one-on-one meetings? Yeah, I don't know. My heart's sinking even more when I think about it, because it's like they really are taking advantage of the term non-duality. Man, like, I've even thought about doing one-on-one sessions, but I just don't feel ready about doing it. If you don't feel ready, if you're not sure, then don't do it. But you obviously felt like you could still do it anyway. Hmm. Wow. Wow.
It's when I started first doing this one-on-ones, I was like, I don't know what the point of this is really, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
nothing to give and nothing to advise and nothing to offer.
Yeah.
But we can just talk about shit, I guess. And
We can talk about shit and what and take people's money. Now, unless he's doing it for free, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna check if he's doing it for free. I don't want to be like shitting on him if he's say doing it for free. Unless anybody in the audience who's watching, whether you know if he does it for free or not. Okay. Okay, his website is extremely weird. Oh, okay. They're not free. We're gonna look at this in a minute. I'm gonna show you instead of talking about. I'm gonna show you. But okay, remind me in the chat after we finish this video that we're gonna talk about the one-on-one sessions. If I forget. Okay, he's irked me on this point.
and I'll just talk like what I do in my meetings. And surprisingly, you know what I'm saying, there was this love in doing this. There's this passion.
I
in
bet
doing
there
the
is.
one-on-ones. I like,
Look for the money.
like, oh, it's just the same. I'm
Yeah.
I'm really not talking to anyone as well. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing as talking in a meeting. And then
Oh, this okay. I see the figures, and that's why I'm really annoyed. The fact that you're saying all this is the most horrifying, ridiculously ignorant thing ever. I can't. Just do your meetings. You may charge for your meetings, fine. I don't care about that. But one-on-ones I do care about because you're directly dealing with someone. Someone's coming to you with their problems directly. And if you're going to be saying the same stuff that you say in your meetings, then I don't know who the fool is, the people or him. Like, I don't really know. But say if I give people the benefit of doubt, with him, if you know your message is going to be the same, why would you do one-on-ones? There's no need to. In your Zoom meetings, you can easily do the one-on-ones there with everyone else because it's not as if it's private or anything, because you're going to give them the same message. I know for a fact you can never do that. Well, I can't, because everyone has different issues and needs a practice or guidance that is tailored to them. But if you can be given the same message, no, you should not be doing these one-on-ones. In my opinion, this is like unethical.
yeah, but there's nothing on offer, and there's nothing that I can do, and I can't even take any credit for it because there's nothing that I did.
Okay, so why don't you take your name off this? Why does it say take your name off everything? If you don't want to take credit, you don't need to show your face either. I don't buy any of that. The reason why I don't, if somebody else said it and they were like a traditional teacher, I would understand. With him, I don't. And if he says he has an uncompromising message, well, I have uncompromising feedback to give him. So be ready now, Emerson, because you weren't meant to annoy me in this, but I've kind of got annoyed. Wow.
It's not coming from a wisdom. It's not coming from a
Yeah.
knowledge. It's
Yeah.
not coming from a technique. There's nothing. There's no one here.
Saying that there's no one here is a technique. Saying there's no message is a technique. Saying there's no Santa Claus is a technique. Saying there is no technique is a technique.
Here. There's no one here. I almost made this fake testimonials. It's kind of funny. I have.
Whoa. Maybe I misheard. Let's rewind that for a second. Whoa.
From a technique. There's nothing. There's no one here. There's no one here. I almost made this fake testimonials. It's kind of funny.
It's not kind of funny, and it kind of is kind of funny that you had to write fake testimonials, because the fact that you thought about it means that you're invested in this so-called story of Emerson giving one-on-one sessions or Zoom meetings or helping people. But regardless, you were about to write fake testimonials, which means to me, you know, you've set up a business. And you know, how can someone listen to that and still think he's a genuine person? People have issues with Deepak Chopra. This is a real issue. I don't know. Am I overreacting to this fake testimonial thing? Like, is it just me, or is that really batshit crazy? And he's laughing about it. He thinks it's funny. Because someone's going to look at those testimonials, say, I mean, in my opinion, if he says he thought about it, most likely he did do it and then deleted it. But someone will look at those testimonials and be like, oh, I can get help from Emerson. Before I believed in crystals, and now looking at this testimonial, I'm going to go to him for one-on-one help. They're going to go to him for one-on-one help, and they're going to be like, I felt the vibration of oneness. And then he's going to say, well, there's no vibration, there's no oneness. There just this is. Yeah, this whole video is a fake testimony. Oh, thank you, Dimitri. Yes, this whole video is a fake testimonial. Absolutely. Oh. Man. Now it makes me think whether you can believe anything that's come from Emerson and the people he's inspired. I now question this, because now I feel that there may be something not right.
I have this person that's helping me out with my website and everything, and this person said, "Oh my goodness, Emerson, look at this testimonial." I'm like, "Oh, I can't use that, buddy. I can't use that." And I'm like, "But
I'll send you a testimonial. I'll send you
Thank
one.
you for nothing. No. There's this one that said, "Thank you for nothing.
Yeah.
You wasted my time." So that's a testimonial that I'm going to put. "Thank you for nothing,
Yeah,
Emerson.
true.
You wasted my time."
True. That's good.
Yeah. So it's compiling about a lot of those kind of like really funny ones.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I was
perfect.
expecting the world, and you gave me nothing. Thank you anyway.
Yeah, no
Thank you
value.
thank you
That was
thank you for
useless.
bursting my bubble. That was useless.
Pointless.
Yeah. That's testimonials. I should put it on my Instagram. It's just gonna be funny.
That'd be funny.
Testimonials. That was so pointless. That was bullshit.
Wow.
What's funny is when I was a spiritual teacher, I used to get so
When I was a spiritual teacher, what are you then? What are you? If he ever has testimonials, it'll always be suspect. Yes, I absolutely agree. I will never believe anything he says anyway. I mean, this is just really something on another level. Really is. So, anyway, he's talking about when he was a spiritual teacher. Let's see what wisdom he's going to give. Hello, music gods. How do I know you? Or what's your name? Or do you want me to refer to you as music gods? But nice to see you.
offended or just be sensitive, right, of what people thought. And that can still arise.
Oh, whoa. I need to rewind that. Oh, hi, Samdesh. Let me watch this again.
I should put it on my Instagram. It's just gonna be funny.
That'd be
Testimonials.
funny.
That was so pointless. That was bullshit.
I'm not laughing.
Wow.
What's funny is when I was a spiritual teacher, I used to get so offended or just be sensitive, right, of what people thought. And that can still arise. No, but here there's this flatness of everything, right?
Again, another issue I have. When you're a spiritual teacher, you were very sensitive. As if sensitivity is wrong. In my opinion, being sensitive as a spiritual teacher, if you claim to be one, is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. I mean, like, my spiritual guru was very sensitive, and that's what helped me. So, sensitivity is not a bad thing, which shows the level of maturity in Emerson.
It seemed that there's no one really writing any of that, and it's just this empty words, emptiness appearing as this criticism or whatever. And I think we talked about that before. So I used to now, saying it's this communication is always going to get a lot of trolls because it trying to be understood and it can't be understood.
We're not trolls. We're the ones that are putting up the mirror, and you're not willing to look in the mirror. So you're not getting trolls, my friend. You're getting people that are telling you what your message is. If you claim that you have an uncompromising message, then we have uncompromising feedback or criticism, whatever you want to call it. So, my friend, that's all we're giving back, and you should be able to take it. So you can tell he's very salty about this. He's still very sensitive and offended, yet he's just found a way to suppress it, which is far worse for him and for... Absolutely agree. When he calls... So he shouldn't have called those people trolls, right? Because it's all a story. He shouldn't be affected by any of this, but he clearly is. Because he's talking about it. He's probably watched my video, knowing him.
A lot of trolls because it trying to be understood and it can't be understood. And this is not an elite thing because there's no others. Right. There's no one here and there's no one there. It's just being said that it's just what is. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I've gotten those comments too, and at first it was a little bit disorienting, I guess, because all the like hate comments are not really hate, but like whatever. The assumption is that I'm saying this and I have a message and I have it. so then there's comments that are like, no, you don't, or, that's not right. I don't know. It was a little bit weird at first, but yeah,
It's
I
just
don't
what
know.
is.
Yeah.
Okay, if you really see things just as what is, then why don't you look at what people say and consider it? Why not understand why they're saying that? Like I said, and I say it again, I've reached out to both of them for a conversation. So I don't see them doing that to anyone like me, saying, okay, let's have a conversation. In fact, the more reasonable ones have, there's a few people I've reached out to and they've replied back. But Emerson, Ken, there's another young guy as well. I even reached out to Theo under that devotion with the non-dual thing. I asked him if he would like to talk because I have reached out to him on email before, I think. So I have reached out to them. The fact that they're yeah, I don't believe a word they say. If someone is giving you feedback saying you don't get it, and you don't want to understand why, it just shows me you're not really after growth. You're not really after true spirituality. What you're giving is not spirituality at all. It's something else. It's really a cult. What they're doing it's really a cult. The cult of Emerson.
Just
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
I don't know.
also it's also emptiness appearing as that. It's also just
How many times has Ken said, I don't know? It's unbelievable.
it's also emptiness appearing as that. It's also just this apparent reaction in the story.
Yeah.
And the reaction that's coming from the character is also what is. So it could be disorienting, it could be deleting it. It could be responding to it.
I bet you he deletes them. That's why he's saying it. He said deleting first instead of responding, so you know what goes on in his brain as soon as he sees a little bit of criticism.
It's just what is. There's nothing that is happening. There's no one doing any of this anyway. So everything's just an appearance. And so what? So that seems to be the new mantra right now. It's just so. This is just the so whatness. There's just
Totally,
the not giving a fuck. There's zero fucks given. Kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, that's completely arrogant. You have to get. My friends who follow such philosophy, all you will get is a more evolved ego mixed in with arrogance that is so subtle that it would be very hard for you to get out of it. Now, I think even if I have a conversation with Emerson, I don't think I'll get through to him. I just want you to see, I want you to see his face.
It's just so. This is just the so whatness. There's just
Totally,
the not giving a fuck. There's zero fucks given. You know, like.
You know when he says there's zero? Nah, he cares, and he's affected by it big time. His face shows it. There is no way. Because one, you delete them. It probably annoys you that you have to delete such messages before you respond to them. Or even if you choose to respond to them. He's salty about this stuff. He's salty about the people that tell him that what he's giving is wrong. He's salty about it. Really salty. He basically justifies his psychopathy by saying it's true. It's really true what you're saying. It's just happening and he has nothing to do with anything. It's just what is. Exactly. But he is really salty. Look at him. Yeah,
Mhm.
Even when there's a reaction, that's also,
So what?
he's salty.
so what?
Yeah,
But I'm glad that you're doing these videos, Kenny. This is really awesome. I so
it's
happy.
fun. I
So
enjoy
happy.
it too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it just flows, doesn't it?
Totally. Yeah.
It's not even coming from anywhere, right? It's just this.
Yeah. No source. Yeah, but it is just like I don't know. It's pleasant. I enjoy
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, how many times is Ken gonna say I don't know?
doing it.
Yeah. Keep on making them. Keep on making them. I haven't been doing a lot of videos because I have a lot of meetings, you know what I'm saying, that I've
Yeah,
been doing.
yeah.
But I should make a couple ones soon. So but
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to
It's
do
just been
a Zoom sometime, or I think that would be
Oh,
cool to do.
do a Q&A. Oh, that'll be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't have enough people, I think, or like I don't. We'll see when it happens, but
It will get there. It will get there. I started the same, you know what I'm saying.
yeah,
Slow in the start kind of thing, and kind of like what you said to me, that there are other speakers, but there are no other speakers out there. So you were saying, I don't know what you were saying, that something like, but there are,
like comparing to other. Yeah.
yeah,
True.
but there's no
I
others.
was at first. I was insecure. Yeah.
But that's also just what's happening, right? It's just
Totally.
Yeah. That's what the same thing that I said too when someone asked me, not insecurity, but I just thought that there was no need. Someone asked me, I said, well, there's more really eloquent speakers out there, and but surprisingly, there are apparent audience for just the wildness and the creativity of this character, and trying to express nothing in creative ways, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's a mess.
Mhm.
But no one's doing it. It's just this explosion of like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's just this. I think I was talking about bankruptcy and poverty, and people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the poverty, the bankruptcy of the apparent character, because the character is bankrupt.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
I like that too. I've been kind of surprised, like, well, just because there's not as much of a trying to be a certain way. There's a more natural character flow or whatever. And it's really it's fun to see it. It's fun to not be held back so much, apparently.
There's just this flow, right? There's this flow that there's no one doing it. There's, even when you think you're doing it, there's no one doing it. You know what I'm saying? Even though when there's this hesitance or this insecurity, that's the flow. That's the flow. That's also what is. And I think I was talking to someone and said that, where does this come from? Like, I don't know. Do you know? Well, I gotta go soon, Kenny. This has been awesome. Thank you for
doing this.
Thank you for inviting me to your channel.
Oh yes.
No, the dance.
I can't help it. There's no one doing it. So love you, man.
Love you.
I'm gonna end the recording. Love you.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah, it will take a while to bring to build the grift, but stick with it. Yeah, he should. He will get lots of followers eventually. He has probably more than me, or will get more than me soon. So, I think Ken has 329. I think he's just, by tomorrow he'll have more followers than I do for sure. And he's only just started. So, the grift is real. Don't worry, it's not slow. What I'm doing is slow. What you're doing is not slow. So yeah. by making this video, I don't think you're going to get a conversation with either of them if they watch this. I think you're right, Conrad. It's sad if that is the case, but I think you're right. I really wish that they would look at this video and be like, well, we want to have a chat with him to address any of the things that I said. So I would hope that's the case, but probably it's not going to happen. Yeah, it is more like moral bankruptcy. Yeah, it really is. There's nobody doing it. Love you, love you. Yeah, that's what I found funny as well. Was when he was like saying "love you." Who are you loving? You know, and there's not meant to be any love, or maybe there's an apparent loving that's happening. But I wanted to share something with you. I haven't forgotten. And okay, so the one thing that irked me was this. I don't know how clear you can see it. Let me do like that. But basically, he talked about Emerson did. He talked about how he does one-on-one sessions, and basically, whatever he does in his Zoom events, he does one-on-one sessions with. Just before I get to the one-on-one, with the Zoom and events, just to let you know that he does do this pay what you can or free for 0, but it's only valid for 1 week. But again, these one sessions for 90 minutes, the 1 day in person, I don't know how they work these out, but $25, $75. The 1 day Zoom is $60. 2 days in person is $130. The full event is $150, and that's a 3-day access. So for these dates, so I guess this has passed now. So as you can see, it's quite a bit of money. So you have that. So even that is not relatively free. People will pay. But this thing is interesting. So 30 minutes is 65. 1 hour is 130. Empty to empty session is 30 minutes. So I don't know what that means. And one-on-one with Emerson, pay what you can. Okay. He probably doesn't charge for this then. But that's interesting. But I'm sure there's something that people will pay. But this one is what I'm intrigued by. What does he mean by empty? Okay, so regardless, there's a pay what you can. You shouldn't charge anything for any of this. I'm gonna stop sharing this because it really is get into me, like the imagery. It's like so hypnotic that it's taking you, as Martin said, the moving brick wall effect. It says it all. You are here to brick wall when you talk to him. Basically, yeah. This whole this pseudo non-duality is like hitting your head across the wall. So yeah, there you go. So in my opinion, people will probably pay. They won't pay what you can. they'll pay something for sure. Like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with charging people money, but if you're gonna just be giving people the same message you give in your Zoom sessions, there's no need to. It's for me, if you're being if you're doing one-on-ones, you should be able to tailor your message accordingly. So yeah, that was this um, you know, pseudo non-dual video. I do hope that Ken or Emerson will reach out to me after looking at this, but I doubt it. Pay what you can, but I can pay 1 cent. So can I. I'm tempted to do one with him, but that'd be just wasting my time. I'd rather not pay even a single penny. What's the wax subconscious stuff behind the brick walls? I don't really know. I mean, that's disorienting for me. You know, but yeah, but yeah, but like I said, when I talk about Ken, I think because he's rather new, I kind of have compassion for him. I I feel that he's someone that will really benefit from the traditional non-duality from Advaita Vedanta. I think he would really benefit from it. But if he's setting up a shop like Emerson and the other pseudo non-dual teachers or ego Advaita, then whatever he's doing, carry on doing, man. You will be prosperous. You will get your money. Trust me. But if you really are after true spirituality, then sign up to my Patreon, and you can get that. In fact, don't need to do that. You can go onto my YouTube channel, or you can go on my podcast and listen to them. It's all free on there. I don't teach anything other than the traditional stuff. So, but yeah, it's yeah. What do you suppose is the wax subconscious stuff going on regarding the brick walls? I personally think it's hypnosis, in my opinion. Like by seeing that, you're kind of getting drawn in to what he's got on his website. Personally, that's what I think it is. It's so you subconsciously start being drawn into the nonsense that he's talking about. That's essentially what it's for. Yeah. But yeah, it's sad to see someone like Kenny or Ken go through that stuff. But at the end of the day, also, if you really find this message appealing and it's worked for you, then fine. I can't say anything other than this is not going to be long lasting. You're going to enjoy it for a few years, but it won't last long. I do have to address Godfather, the McDaddy of them all, Tony Parsons, at some point. I am basically intrigued by his latest non-duality meeting. I probably won't last the whole session, but one day I will, maybe in a couple of weeks. But seeing his demeanor is always interesting. But yeah, the brick wall is a metaphor for ego Advaita, uncompromising message made from mental gymnastic bricks. Yeah, that's what it is. It's doing the forward roll all the time. But yeah. So yeah, it's it's a shame really, because I really I kind of like Ken because he's new, and I think he's not so bad, but I think he's genuine. But at the end of the day, if you go, you know, whatever you do in life is going to have consequences, even if you believe it doesn't. And as you're teaching this, it's not long before you'll do the Q&As and the one-on-ones. And then when people have real issues and they come to you with their problems, you will be responsible for what you say to them, even if you feel that what you're giving is nothing. There's no message. There's nothing you're giving. So my advice to Ken would be tread carefully while he's beginning. But if you can make a quick $1, I wonder whether it would matter at all. So yeah. But I won't be on tomorrow, but maybe Thursday. I think maybe. Let me check whether I'll be on Thursday. Yes, so this Thursday I'll do the Abrokshana Buddhi. We'll look at some more verses and we'll go through the text. So probably the same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So do make yourself available. I'll try and put what's it called, link to the session sooner rather than later. I need to find time to edit. So I've been having some issues with the editing software I'm using for the conversations with the bearded mystic. For some reason it's crashing every time, so it's taking a bit longer than it should do, but I'm going to try and get them out. So there's going to be no structure, which maybe is not right. Maybe I will look to have a structure that maybe at the end of the month or something like that, there'd be a conversation at least uploaded. So, but yeah, but because it's bonus episodes, they will come up whenever I get around to editing them. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do a lot more on that. So my apologies, but I'm gonna get down to that. So now, one thing I wanted to also mention that I now kind of have a technique of meditation that I'm going to be doing each week in my meditation sessions that happen every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll find the links to all this in the video description below. But like, so now I kind of think I have a technique that I really want to keep going ahead with and utilizing that as the main technique. One, because it takes you to the experience of oneness, and it encompasses the traditional Advaita view. So we'll use Saguna Brahman and we'll go to Nirgun Brahman. So there is that aspect to it. So I think if you attend it, you can let me know what you think. So yeah, that would be now the meditation sessions that we will be doing. But to be honest, nobody know. But I'll be doing that for a couple of weeks, and then maybe we'll try other things out. But I'm just speaking from the flow at this minute. So yeah, is there anything else I wanted to speak about? I don't think there's anything else really, um, but yeah, but just thank you for the support. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll catch up again in a couple of days. So I'll see you on Thursday for this for another live stream, and we'll be discussing and exploring together Aparokshanabuti, and let's enjoy that message together. When we do these sessions on the traditional texts, what we're doing there is solidifying our knowledge, and by solidifying our knowledge, we get closer to practicing. And if we are practicing, we are deepening our practice so that we get to that point of at least getting to um, an awakening or an understanding, a deep understanding, and may I even say maybe even enlightenment for some of us. So my prayer is that everyone gets to enlightenment and realizes that we are already enlightened. We've always been enlightened. But you know, that's a journey to go through. Also, yeah, this Sunday the episode is on wisdom of the mystics, and we're looking at Meister Eckhart. So that's an interesting one. I recorded that yesterday, so when I end this, I'll be editing that episode. So that's something to look forward to on Sunday. Obviously, that goes free on my podcast, and also the video podcast is on this channel. So yeah, other than that, that's all I got to say. Do share this channel with people that you know would like this message, that you feel would enjoy this and learn from it, and continue to give me your feedback. And again, thank you so much for the support. Thank you, Martin. Thank you. And I love you. And yeah, and don't look left or right crossing the road. Yeah, I am never gonna look left or right when I cross the road. Yeah, yeah. Dimitri, I do hope that one day you will also experience this apparent oneness. But yeah, take care, everyone. Bye.